back.
Yeah, man.
With el ritmo del juego. We're going to get into a little bit of the EPL. As you can see, I'm getting a little jersey collection going. I'm trying to.
I can see, man. I can see. Yo.
What you
got? What you got there? What you got? You want to tell the fans?
We'll explain to the fans. Sorry for the audio listeners on Spotify and stuff. We got Colombia. We got Spain. We got PSG, the Jordan Champions League ones. We got Everton. We got Wolves, and we got our boys Atalanta right here, man. Atalanta. So still got to add to it. I'm trying to get some more Spain teams. Trying to get Granada probably.
Yo, so you're not a Madrid? Is Madrid?
I mean, I got a Madrid. I got like 2 other Madrids, but this is just my. Got the Madrid on right now. But so yeah, let's talk a little Premier League. Let's talk about Everton.
My pick. Y'all remember, right? Y'all remember?
Yeah, your pick, man. I don't know. It's looking a little iffy.
Straight.
It's looking a little iffy now. Your pick.
They lost today.
They lost today. But we'll take it back to the last game, which was the big Merseyside Derby, Everton Liverpool. Big match, big rivalry, 2 teams from Liverpool, and quite the controversial game, I would say. Yeah,
it was. There was a lot going on in that game.
A lot happened. A lot happened in that game. Some sad things, I would say, just for football fans in general. Anytime we see an injury like that. So, I mean, the big thing was Pickford's tackle early on and Van Dijk, which now it seems like it was an ACL tear. Was that what it was? What was the injury?
I'm not 100%.
Anyways, he's out for a particularly long time.
Yeah.
Several months. Off a very harsh tackle, which in the end, he was offside at the moment, but so there was no penalty given.
Right.
But was still a tackle that definitely warranted
some time off for Pickford. Yeah.
Yeah. A red card.
Yeah.
Obviously, he didn't have the intention. I don't think he had the intention. It was a harsh tackle, but
yeah, it was very reckless.
Reckless for sure.
At that time, he didn't think about the welfare of his of his opponent. And that, in my opinion, is definitely reckless. Yes, you want to win the game. Yes, you want to prevent the goal from being scored, but at the same time, you got to think about your actions.
So I mean that definitely marked the game. I mean, obviously, if they'd given the red card, it would have changed the game.
Yeah, I mean,
because it would have been downtime, man. And
also the goal that was disallowed by the goal that was deemed offside but wasn't really offside.
Yeah, we'll get back to that. That's the other controversy that happened later. Right. But yeah, that was big. I agree with you. I think that it was a red card. It didn't matter that he was offside. It was still like endangering, reckless tackle, which they could have given a red card. I don't understand how VAR worked and reviewed the offside, but didn't review a possible.
Don't even get me started on VAR, man. I don't want to go there.
Dangerous play. So that was my own issues with VAR. So Everton came back in the end, tied the game 2-2, and then we had the other controversy about the offside, where a goal was
against
disallowed.
VAR.
The game-winning goal was disallowed from Liverpool.
Yeah. And again, VAR was the topic of the day, which I don't understand. With that kind of technology, you should be able to spot everything. To be honest,
right.
At the end of the day, I think at the end of the day, the ref still makes a decision to call.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know if did he even go himself to take a look at it at the.
No. So the thing is with VAR calls, they don't go to the monitor because it's not like what do you call it? It's not like a subjective thing. It's either he's off or he's not. So there's no reason for him to go. So it's just the video assistant referee making the decision because it's like, he's offside or he's not. It's not like to look at it. But obviously,
maybe it was something
we see the frames and we see the lines, it doesn't look offside. And also the problem is we're getting down to like millimeters and inches, which just like it's like can our human eye even really tell that part?
No,
I'm guessing by
the thing is that is just so ridiculous to me. And yeah. I mean I don't want to get into this conversation because we don't have enough time. But I'm letting you know, it's so ridiculous to me that that we even need to go there. Like it's I don't know. It's just ridiculous to me. We're gonna go that far to inches and millimeters, and
Right.
it's. I think VAR in itself is just added more complications to the game that we didn't need. You should have just left the game as it was. But that's my opinion. Because and at the end of the day,
useful, but
at the end of the day, it's still the same. It's still some people are still left satisfied. Some people are still left unsatisfied.
But that will always happen, I think, and just regardless, but now the argument is now we're getting the correct decisions because you can see it. You know what I mean? Like it's objectively, it's the correct decision.
Obviously, we're not getting the correct decisions. I think the issue is
they need to change.
Obviously, we're not getting the correct decisions because Liverpool shouldn't have been offside.
But I mean, it is offside. But the problem is does it make sense to have lines and an armpit as like what's going to be offside or not? That's where I think it needs to change. I think they need to change the offside rule to fit the new VAR possibility, or maybe like people are proposing take away the lines, like just have someone objectively looking at the paused frame and say, is that offside or not? Because when you start doing the lines is when it's like, okay, it's offside, but like when you're looking at the frame, it doesn't look offside, but the lines say it is.
You could argue that they updated the offside rule and made it more stricter. Because without VAR,
I mean, the offside rule has always been this, but the problem is we couldn't see it. You could, couldn't see that.
Before you could argue that is a rule in itself. Before VAR, the offside rule was whatever you could see.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, in theory.
That in itself is a rule in itself. It's whatever you can see. Now with VAR, it's a little more stricter in that it has to be
because we can see it.
Body part, right? Yeah, exactly. I mean,
we can now literally break it down and see it in the exact moment. For me, like I think people taking away the lines are just making it objectively. You pause the frame. Does he look offside or not? And that's it. Don't do the lines. Like that's something. I think they should change the rule to like your feet. Like I don't think, why do we care if an armpit or even a head is offside? Like what's the most important part is the position of your feet. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's supposed to prevent. So that's what I think they should change the rule to where if your feet are onside, that's all that matters. If your feet are in front of where the last defender's feet is, that's it. Now we can break that down in real time, and it'll be a 2-second call. VAR, his feet are off or not. And I feel like people will be more.
No, it was funny because I was watching a game earlier today, and it was actually the Juventus game, and Morata scored.
Oh yeah.
And the goal went to a VAR review, and the ref went and review it, and to check whether he was offside or not. And the commentator was like, "I hope he clipped his toenails."
Right? But that's what we're talking about.
I just died. I was so funny.
But anyways, there was that big controversy.
And the thing is, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead. The
thing that made me that was like that blew me up a second. He had already done celebrating. He was throwing his fist and celebrating, jumping on his teammate. And the way his look on his face when VAR was like, it's not a goal. It was just I was like, God damn. I was like, that's
definitely a whole new element about like the celebration and the reaction and like the change in emotion, which is important as a part of the game.
It is just,
which is definitely.
But,
I think VAR is useful in some parts, and then obviously it's caused a lot of problems that I don't think that they were prepared to deal with.
It's money. It's money that you need. I think it's money wasted. I think it's money wasted, in my opinion. We're gonna use that money for people who need food, for better causes. It's for better causes. You don't need VAR. I mean, the game was still. You can make an argument about a lot of money things, right?
I'm saying in general.
I'm making an argument for this, not like for anything else. I'm making an argument for this. Like before the game was still fine, people enjoyed it, right?
But I guess
people didn't know about VAR. I'm saying is, right? If the eye sees, the eye wants.
Yeah.
If you don't know about it, you don't give a second of thought about it.
I guess I think the argument of why they wanted VAR is let's give an example of a team, first time in their history they're going to qualify for World Cup. And they're in a game, it's Bolivia or something. I don't know if they qualified for World Cup, but let's say it's Bolivia. They're playing Argentina, and Bolivia's about to score, and they shoot it, and it goes off an arm of a defender, and it goes out, and it doesn't score, but it was clearly an arm like blocking it, but the ref didn't see it. No one saw it. There's no VAR. That country loses out on all that money of being able to go to their first World Cup, and Argentina gets to go. And all that money that's lost for that program, when it's something that with the technology we have now is reviewable and able to be corrected. So it's like when you're talking about this amount of money at stake, and like the amount of
but the thing is,
they want the correct
what
call.
Happens though.
I mean, no, it doesn't. Because that's the point of VAR.
Yeah, it does. But you and I have both seen controversial handballs that weren't called and some that were called.
But that's more subjective. I'm saying like
ultimately it's the ref's decision, isn't it? Ultimately, it's the ref's decision, isn't it? Right. So if that ref wants to call that handball, he will call it. If he's not gonna call it.
Right, but the thing is, now it's down to a subjective ref decision. It's no longer error. Like they're trying to take away like objective error. Like, you know, we've seen that it's in the past. It's happened where like they missed like a clear handball or some dramatic thing that like can change the game because of a human error. Just because physically all the referees can't see everything. Like it's impossible. So there's that. So and they tried to correct that, like in other sports, to try to do it. Now, obviously, it's still controversial because of the subjective angle. And obviously, there's like the handball rule is a particularly bad thing that we can argue about the way they've changed the rule and stuff like that, which makes it a little more, you know. But anyways, there's arguments on both sides. I understand why people hate it and why people would want to get rid of it. But anyways, back to the EPL.
Told you, we could go all day about VAR.
We could go all day for VAR.
Yo. Stay tuned,
we'll
guys.
Have a VAR episode.
We'll make a VAR. If we'll make a VAR argument.
Anyway, so the game ended in a tie, which is big for Everton.
It feel like so long we talked about this.
That's how it is, man. That's how it is. It steals the conversation, which I think both of us agree is kind of an issue.
Yeah.
Because we want to talk about the football, but it's such a big part. Anyway, so that game ends in a tie, which is good for Everton. They remained unbeaten at that point in the history now. And they stayed top of the table. And particularly for Liverpool, it was worse because obviously they lost their, star defender. Who is such an important piece for their team, obviously, too. They're already having their goalkeeper out. They've had him for a little bit. Now it's bad. I mean, what do you think this means for the title chances of Liverpool, not having him for such a long time?
I mean, there's not much to read it. I mean, I think it's going to be fine. I think that you could still argue that the favorites to win the title. But beside Everton, I
don't know.
But I think they still got a lot of pieces, a lot of depth in the squad for sure. So if they concede goal, if they can score more than they concede,
right?
What's the problem, right?
And we know they got the talent going forward. So
you got to score more than you concede, and you're good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they can definitely score goals. So shout out to Giannis.
So yeah, we're gonna have him on later at some point. So we'll talk Liverpool more specifically. But yeah, I still think they have their favorites, and I mean, who knows? We'll see what they do. They could buy a center back in the next transfer window, which could help them out. So, but I guess you want to talk about how crazy the EPL is right now. You want to look at
it's a mess.
Where are your boys? Man City is what, 13th? Tottenham is 11th.
Man.
Aston Villa is 3rd. Leeds is 5th. Southampton is 6th.
Yeah, it's up and down. It's everywhere. It's right. I was telling you, a team can be looking good one weekend, and the next weekend they look like not good. I'm gonna say that.
Right.
No, it's just you don't know what to expect from 2020. You don't know what to expect. Anything you can't write any team off. Nobody's safe.
Nobody's safe. We keep saying it. Nobody's safe. Any team can be any team.
Right.
Newly promoted Leeds, they can take any of y'all.
Yep.
Nobody wants that smoke. Nobody wants that smoke.
Nope.
But even team Aston Villa, nearly relegated last year. Nobody wants that smoke either, man. They can take it to you.
Yeah.
So
it's like I feel like it's it's crazy because like you look on paper and it's like on paper this is like a 5-0 game, but like you watch the game and it's like it was 1-1, like West Ham, Man City. On paper, Man City beat. It's all over West Ham all day long.
Right.
That's a 3-0 game, 4-0 game, but tied 1-1, and you can't even say West Ham got lucky. No, they didn't. I watched that game and it was.
They didn't.
Yeah, they came. They came through with. They came the ball. So
yeah,
that's 2020 for y'all.
Man United 15th right now.
Yo, don't get started with Man United, yo.
They got Cavani.
They got some new players. We're gonna see how that works out. But
yeah, I mean, it's crazy because we're thinking about Champions League, what they did to your boys, PSG.
I love how all these are my boys. I love how all these people are my boys. Who got a PSG
you love
jersey?
Neymar.
Who got a PSG jersey?
I mean, I do got
exactly
PSG
so,
right here.
I'm taking your boys. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Man United looked, but in the league, they're just not looking.
Yeah, it's So I'm saying it's weird. That's
a weird year. Do you think it has to do with the lack of fans? I think people are saying that has had an effect on like the way the games are played.
I think I personally, I would think that without fans, you just go out and play. But I think at the end, like I think it really makes you like, like while you play. I mean, you play. I mean, at the end of the day, each player's gotta dig down deep to why they started playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I think when with the fans, you kind of get lost in the stardom, and with like everyone chanting your name, and you kind of you start feeding off of that. You start letting that fuel while you play, and it's like a fake drive,
right?
In a sense, right? It's like a false sense of like drive, but then when they're not there, you're like, that drive isn't there. That fake drive that you were feeding off of isn't there. So you have to like refine why you started playing, because people play for different reasons. Some for money, some for whatever reason. But at the end of the day, we started playing this because it's fun. We want to compete. We want to prove to ourselves that we can, we can do things, and that's what deep down you got. These players got to come down and realize and play. Start making excuses that there's no fans, but
I think it might take some pressure off. You know what I mean? Like maybe someone who's
for sure
those feel a little more pressure in the spotlight, like that. Now you're just kind of playing. Obviously, there's still the amount. There's still pressure, but it might in that moment kind of shock pressure of like all the fans and stuff. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens this year, man. We'll see what happens this year.
I feel like fast forward to like June or May or June, we're gonna be like, oh my goodness, we were not expecting. Yeah. I'm excited to see that podcast. June or May.
The end of the league.
You do not want to miss this, guys. You don't want to miss the May or June with the Juego podcast, man. Yeah. It's gonna be jaw dropping. I'm gonna go back and look at myself, look at this podcast again in May or June, and I'm gonna be like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm excited for some international football. I think coming, since we're talking in June 2021, because I think we missed that this summer, so that'll be fun to see. But yeah, man, that's Ritmo del Juego. Stay tuned. We're gonna have a lot more episodes coming.
We
your
have
way.
a lot more coming. We got some fire.
We didn't get to any music today, but you know, we'll stay tuned with some music segments. Maybe we'll do a fun separate one.
We're working on something big for y'all. So if you haven't subscribed, go to subscribe, guys. You know, follow us on all our platforms. We're on Spotify.
Yes, we're on Spotify. You know, subscribe to YouTube.
Yep. You know. Subscribe to everything, guys. So we appreciate your love and support. You know, you let us know what you want to hear about.
Yep,
drop it in the comments.
Drop it in the comments.
Email us. Instagram us. Face WhatsApp us.
Face WhatsApp. What is face WhatsApp?
Let us know.
Tíranos por WhatsApp. Tíranos por WhatsApp.
Tíranos un FaceTime.
Tíranos un FaceTime. All right, man. We wildin'. You know what time it is.
WhatsApp me that.
What are you even saying? That's